AITA for refusing to give my husband the nicer car, even though he drives more. So my husband, 38M, and I, 36F, have two cars. A 2023 electric SUV. It's comfortable, quiet, has all the new tech, super smooth ride, and a 2014 sedan that still runs fine, but has started to feel its age. No Bluetooth, rougher suspension, louder on the highway, some minor cosmetic wear. Nothing major, just older and less pleasant to drive. We've been together for 10 years, married for 6, no kids, dual income, he makes more. He works in tech and has to commute 45 minutes each way to his office 3 days a week. I work as a mid-level manager at a publishing company, and I mostly work from home, but I do go into the office once a week and occasionally drive for errands or appointments. So yes, I drive way less. I'd say he's in the car 8 to 10 hours a week. I'm in the car maybe 2 to 3. Here's the thing. I drive the nicer SUV, and he drives the older sedan. This arrangement wasn't really decided. I've bought the SUV with my own money before we got married, back when we were still dating, and I've always driven it. When we got married, we agreed to keep separate finances with a shared household budget for things like groceries, utilities, and vacations. We each maintain our own bank accounts and car payments. His car is paid off. Mine is almost done. Lately, he's been bringing up how unfair it is that I drive the nicer car when he's the one who actually has to commute. He says I'm being selfish and illogical. He's putting in the miles, suffering through traffic, and meanwhile, I'm just wasting the better car on a few local errands a week. I told him I understand the logic, but I've never felt like I was obligated to give up my car just because he drives more. I paid for it. I've maintained it. I picked it because I like driving it. He's welcome to use it if he needs to drive long distance, but I don't want to switch cars permanently. He got frustrated and said I'm being petty and that I value comfort over fairness. He started making comments like, "Guess I'll go rattle my bones in the tin can again," or "It must be nice to sit in silence while I scream at potholes." When I suggested he could trade in his old car and get a new one himself, he can easily afford it. He said I was missing the point, that we're married and married people share things. I reminded him that we don't share everything. We've chosen not to merge finances for a reason, and it's not like I'm stopping him from upgrading his car. He said it's not about money, it's about principle, that in a partnership, people make sacrifices for each other. I told him I don't think me keeping the car I paid for is some huge betrayal of our marriage. And honestly, part of me wonders if this is about something deeper than just cars. He's always been a bit weird about money, like he'll pay for nice dinners but get visibly annoyed if I buy myself something expensive. This blew up last week when he came home and said he'd had enough. He wanted to swap cars permanently starting Monday. I said no. He got angry and called me selfish and immature. He said he didn't realize I was this kind of person, whatever that means. We haven't really spoken since. His sister texted me a few days ago. They're close, and said she understands my side, but that I should pick my battles and just let him have the SUV. That it clearly means a lot to him, and it would be a gesture of goodwill. I told her I don't think sacrificing something important to me is the right way to show love. She said, "Well, you married a man, not a roommate." That stung, because I get what she's implying, that I'm treating this too transactionally. But I honestly don't see it that way. It's my car, and I love it. I feel safe in it. It's quiet and smooth and comfortable, and it's one of the few big purchases I made entirely for myself before we were married. Maybe I'm being too rigid. Maybe it's a small thing in the grand scheme of things. But part of me feels like if I give in here, the next time it'll be about something else that was mine first. So, AITA for refusing to give my husband the nicer car, even though he drives more? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for telling my sister she isn't welcome in my home after what she said about my wife's disability. I, 34M, have been married to my wife Kayla, 32F, for 6 years. She's one of the most brilliant, funny, and emotionally intuitive people I've ever met. She also happens to use a wheelchair, as she lost the ability to walk after a car accident when she was 22. It was devastating for her, obviously, but over the years, she's rebuilt her life and is fiercely independent. She works remotely in marketing, volunteers at a shelter on weekends, and honestly does more around the house than I do most weeks. Now, on to my sister, Brianna, 29F. Brianna and I were close growing up, but she's always been intense. Think, brutally honest, no filter, often just telling it like it is, even when no one asked. Our parents always brushed it off as her being strong-willed, but over the years it's led to a lot of strained relationships, including with our cousins, who mostly avoid her. She met Kayla several times over the years and has never liked her. Not for any concrete reason. She just says Kayla is cold or too serious, which is totally untrue. Kayla is introverted and takes time to warm up to people, especially ones like Brianna who are kind of abrasive. But she's always been civil and respectful. The problem happened 2 weeks ago at a small family gathering at our house. Just my parents, Brianna, and a few close friends. Kayla and I hosted. We spent the whole day cleaning, cooking, and setting up. Kayla made this incredible Mediterranean spread from scratch. Even roasted garlic hummus, homemade pita, the works. Everyone was complimenting the food, and we were all having a good time. At one point, I stepped out to take a call from a coworker. We're on a tight project deadline, and when I came back in, the vibe had totally changed. Kayla was quiet, her face tight, and my mom was giving Brianna this very specific look, the kind she gives when she's trying to silently tell someone to shut up without causing a scene. I pulled Kayla aside to ask what happened, and she just said, "Ask your sister." But I could tell she was hurt, and she didn't want to make it a thing in front of everyone. Later that night, after everyone had left and I was helping Kayla out of her chair in a bed, she told me what happened. Apparently, Brianna made some comment about how lucky Kayla was to have me, which on its own, okay, whatever. People say dumb things. But then she said, most guys wouldn't want to marry someone who's, not fully functional. So it's kind of amazing he sees past that. Kayla said she froze. She couldn't even respond. My mom apparently scolded Brianna, and Brianna just doubled down and said, "Well, I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. It's not like it's a normal marriage. You guys basically live like roommates." I saw red. The next day, I called Brianna and told her she was out of line. She laughed. She literally laughed and said, "You're being dramatic. You can't seriously be mad at me for saying what people are too polite to admit." I told her she wasn't welcome in our home anymore until she apologized sincerely to Kayla. She said, "I'm not going to apologize for telling the truth," and hung up. Since then, things have spiraled. My mom is on my side, but she's trying to play peacemaker. My dad thinks I'm overreacting and that family should stick together even when we don't agree. Brianna, naturally, has been playing the victim to our extended family, saying I'm choosing my wife over my own sister, that I've changed and become oversensitive. Some of our relatives have reached out saying I should just let it go, that Kayla shouldn't let words get to her, and that Brianna has always been like this. They say I'm blowing up the family over a comment. But here's the thing, it wasn't just a comment. It was deeply disrespectful, dehumanizing, and cruel. My wife is not a burden. Our marriage isn't some charity act. We have our issues like any couple, but I love her and I chose her. Not in spite of her disability, but because of who she is as a whole person. What Brianna said reduced Kayla to her wheelchair, erased all of her accomplishments, her personality, and our actual relationship. And the fact that she said it so casually in our home, while eating food Kayla spent hours making, just shows how little respect she actually has for her. Still, I'll admit, part of me wonders if I went too far. It's not easy cutting off a sibling. I didn't expect it to blow up like this, and now my family is really fractured. Some are saying I'm letting my emotions make permanent decisions over something that should have been talked out. Others say I should have just called her out in a moment and moved on. So now I'm questioning myself. I don't want to alienate my family, but I also don't want to send a message to Kayla that I won't stand up for her when someone crosses a line. I feel like if I back down now, I'm saying it's okay for people to talk to her like that. AITA? AITA for refusing to let my husband's daughter move back in with us after what she did to my son. 39F. have been married to my husband, 41M, James, for 6 years. We both have kids from previous relationships. I have a son, Noah, 16, and he has a daughter, Lily, 17. When we got married, both kids lived with us full-time, and while it wasn't perfect, things were fine for the most part, at least until about a year ago. Noah is a quiet, introverted kid, very smart, very sensitive, and honestly one of the most thoughtful people I know. He's never been cool, and he struggles with social anxiety, which has only gotten worse in high school. We've been working with a therapist to help him develop coping skills. He's also gay, something he came out to us about at 14. I've always supported him, and James said he did too. Lily, on the other hand, is very extroverted, charismatic, and social. She's got a huge friend group, active on social media, lots of parties, etc. But she and Noah never really got along. I always thought it was a personality clash, until I learned the truth. About a year ago, Noah completely shut down. He wouldn't eat dinner with us, didn't want to go to school, and barely spoke unless spoken to. I assumed it was something to do with school or online bullying. It wasn't until months later that I found out the truth, and it came out in the worst way. Noah had a panic attack at school after someone shouted a slur at him in the hallway. His counselor called me in. That's when everything unraveled. Turns out, someone created a fake Instagram account using pictures of Noah, edited to look ridiculous and offensive, with captions mocking him for being gay. They also posted his private messages, including a very sweet but personal message he had sent to another boy at school. The account had been up for months. The school investigated, and we eventually found out that the account had been created by Lily and one of her friends. When confronted, Lily admitted to it, but said it was just a joke and that Noah was too sensitive. She didn't even seem remorseful. I was livid. I don't even have the words to describe how betrayed I felt. Not just for what she did, but because James tried to downplay it. Said things like, teenagers do stupid things, and she didn't mean it like that. I gave him an ultimatum. Either Lily faces real consequences, or Noah and I would leave. After a huge fight, James agreed to send Lily to live with her biological mother for a while, both to give Noah space and because she showed zero remorse. It's been 11 months. Lily is now 17, and James has been pressuring me to let her come back. He says she's grown, that she misses her home, and that Noah doesn't have to interact with her if he doesn't want to. I asked if she's ever apologized to Noah. He said she wrote a letter, but never sent it because she didn't know if it would make things worse. I asked if she'd be willing to go to therapy. He said he didn't want to force it on her. I told him absolutely not. Noah is just now starting to feel safe in his own home again. He's eating dinner with us. He's talking. He's smiling. He's doing better in school. I will not risk his progress for someone who went out of her way to humiliate and emotionally destroy him and never once took ownership of it. James said I'm being unfair and treating Lily like a monster. He's clearly angry with me, and our marriage has been tense. But I feel like my loyalty needs to be to the kid who was the victim here, not the perpetrator. He says I'm punishing Lily forever for a mistake she made at 16. But it wasn't just a mistake. It was calculated cruelty. To be fair, I understand Lily is still a child. I understand that people can grow. But that growth starts with accountability, and as far as I can tell, she hasn't taken any. James' family has also started reaching out, saying things like, she's learned her lesson, and how can you break up a family over teenage drama? But I don't think I'm breaking anything. I'm protecting my son. Still, the pressure is getting to me. James has all but said that if I don't let Lily move back in, he doesn't know how much longer our marriage can last. So now I'm stuck. Am I prioritizing one kid over the other? Maybe I am. But Noah needs the stability right now. And Lily, at least, has another home she can go to. James is making me feel like the bad guy for refusing to forgive and move on. So, AITA for canceling my son's wedding after his fiancée called my wife just the nanny. My wife, Emily, and I have been married for 12 years. I have a 24-year-old son, Jordan, from a previous relationship. His mom was never involved much after our divorce when he was 8. Emily came into our lives when Jordan was 12, and while she never tried to replace his mother, she did everything a parent would do. School runs, cooking, helping with homework, being at every game, graduation, and later helping him with job applications. We also have 2 younger kids together, 9 and 7. Jordan calls her by her first name, which is fine, but we all live in the same city and see each other regularly. Emily's always made an effort to make him feel included. Jordan got engaged last year to a woman named Kayla. From the beginning, she gave off this mean girl in a rom-com vibe, but I chalked it up to nerves. Emily and I hosted their engagement dinner at our house. Kayla was polite, if cold, to Emily, but nothing major. Since then, Emily has gone out of her way to be kind, offering to help with wedding planning, inviting her to spa days, all that. Kayla rarely accepted. Last month, we hosted a family barbecue at our home. Our house is where most family gatherings happen. Jordan grew up there, and it's where Emily and I are raising our kids. Kayla showed up late, and while I was on the grill, she was inside chatting with a few of Jordan's cousins. I didn't hear the conversation, but one of the cousins later told me what she said, and I honestly didn't believe it until 2 others confirmed it. Apparently, one of the cousins was complimenting our house, and Kayla laughed and said, "Yeah, well, it's not Jordan's real mom's house. This is just the nanny's domain." Someone asked what she meant, and she doubled down. You know, Emily, she was basically just the live-in help. Jordan didn't even really grow up with her. She just played house after his mom pieced out. The cousins were floored. One of them, a teenager who absolutely adores Emily, immediately told her mom, who told me. I asked Jordan about it privately the next day. He looked extremely uncomfortable and admitted that Kayla had said something along those lines, but claimed it was a joke and that Emily knows she's not actually his mom, so it shouldn't be offensive. I asked if he corrected her. He just shrugged and said, "You know how Kayla is. She jokes like that." I told him it wasn't acceptable. I asked if he would talk to her and make her apologize. He said I was overreacting and that I shouldn't make drama where there is none. When I told Emily, she just nodded and said, "It's okay." But I could see how hurt she was. She spent years treating Jordan like her own, and now the woman he wants to marry was reducing her to the nanny in her own home. I let it go for a week. Then Kayla sent out an email to the family and posted on social media, outlining the roles for the wedding party. She had listed my name under father of the groom and Jordan's mom, who hasn't spoken to him in years, as mother of the groom. Emily's name was not mentioned at all. One of Emily's friends messaged her saying, "Oh, I didn't realize you weren't going to the wedding." That was the final straw. I called Jordan and asked if he and Kayla had time to come over. When they arrived, I sat them down and said that I could no longer support their wedding, financially or otherwise, until Kayla made a sincere apology to Emily and publicly acknowledged her role in Jordan's life. I told them that I wasn't asking Kayla to call Emily her mother-in-law or rewrite history, but to show basic respect to the woman who helped raise the man she's marrying. Jordan was livid. He accused me of sabotaging his marriage and choosing my new family over him. Kayla started crying and said I was trying to bully her into loving a woman she barely knows. I reminded her that she spent over 2 years attending family events where Emily cooked for her, organized things for her, and went out of her way to make her feel welcome. That she's been in Emily's house, using Emily's dishes, being treated like family by Emily's children. They left furious. Now half the family is split. Some of Jordan's cousins are backing us and calling Kayla out online. Others are saying I'm ruining my son's big day over a misunderstanding. Jordan has since said they're moving the wedding to a smaller venue, and that we're no longer invited unless I apologize for trying to control everything. Emily has said from the beginning she doesn't want to be a source of tension and that I should just go to the wedding, but I refuse. I'm not going to watch my wife be disrespected like that, then act like nothing happened. Our younger kids keep asking why we aren't going to Jordan's wedding, and I haven't found a way to explain it that doesn't make their brother look like the bad guy. So, AITA for canceling my support of the wedding and refusing to go unless Kayla apologizes. AITA for refusing to let my sister-in-law and her kids move into our home, even though she's homeless. My 36F husband, 38M, and I have been married for 10 years. We have 2 kids, 9 and 6, and a comfortable life. We both work full-time. I'm in marketing, and he's a software developer. We live in a 4-bedroom house just outside the city. One bedroom is used as a home office, and the other two are for our kids. Things were going well until a month ago when my sister-in-law, Jenna, 33F, lost her apartment. Jenna has always been chaotic. She has 3 kids, 10, 7, and 4, all from different fathers, none of whom are involved. She struggled to keep jobs, often quitting after a few months due to drama or unfair treatment. She's had on and off help from our in-laws, but they're both retired and living on a fixed income. Jen has never been great with money and constantly posts on social media about how she deserves luxury and hates the 9-to-5 grind. She's been evicted twice in the last 5 years, and last month it happened again. She called my husband crying, saying she had nowhere to go, and asked if she and her kids could stay with us just for a few weeks while she figured things out. My husband, being the kind-hearted person he is, told her he'd talk to me and see what we could do. I immediately said no. It wasn't a decision I made lightly. I know it's hard to say no to family, especially with kids involved. But the reality is, Jenna's version of a few weeks can stretch into months. We've seen it before. She moved in with her parents for a few weeks in 2020 and stayed over a year. When she finally left, it was after multiple fights and their parents basically forcing her out. I also know that once she's in, getting her to leave would be nearly impossible without legal action. She has no job, no plan, no savings. She's not responsible or respectful of other people's space. The last time she visited us for a weekend, her kids destroyed our living room, and she barely paid attention to them. One of them colored all over the wall with markers, and Jenna laughed it off. I had to repaint that wall myself. Another time, her youngest spilled juice all over my laptop, which was closed but still got sticky, and she didn't offer to pay or even apologize. Our home is our safe space. Our kids have a routine. I work from home most days and use that 4th bedroom as an office. If Jenna moved in, I'd have to give it up, which would directly affect my ability to work. We'd go from a household of 4 to 8 overnight. That's a massive shift in noise, stress, groceries, utilities, everything. And based on past behavior, I don't trust her to contribute anything. When I told my husband all this, he seemed torn. He said he agreed with me in principle, but felt we should do something because they're family. I said we could help financially, maybe a short-term hotel or assist with finding a shelter or job resources. But letting them move in? No. Hard no. He reluctantly told Jenna, who, predictably, flipped out. She texted me a wall of messages, accusing me of being heartless, selfish, rich and snobby, and not caring about her kids. She said she'd never forget this betrayal, and that I'm teaching my children to turn their backs on people in need. Then she posted on Facebook, vaguely calling us out as certain family members living in luxury while letting children suffer. And a few of our extended family members started messaging us, saying we should be ashamed. Now there's a divide in the family. Some people understand where I'm coming from, especially those who know Jenna's history. Others say kids shouldn't suffer because of their parents and insist we have the room and means to help. My husband is stuck in the middle and keeps saying things like, I just wish there was a way to make everyone happy. But there isn't. If we let her in, I know she won't leave. If we don't, I'm the villain. Either way, it feels like I lose. Part of me wonders if I'm being too harsh. Maybe I'm protecting my peace at the expense of kids who didn't ask for any of this. But another part of me, the louder part, says that I have to put my own family first. My kids deserve stability. I deserve peace in my home. And Jenna is a grown woman who has refused to change or take responsibility for years. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to let her and her kids stay with us? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her controlling behavior and my own mental health struggles? I, 29F, have always been close to my family, especially my younger sister, 26F. Growing up, we had our usual sibling rivalries, but overall, we got along well and shared a lot of memories. However, the past couple of years have been really difficult for me, and the tension with my sister has grown to a breaking point, especially surrounding her wedding plans. A little background on me. I've struggled with anxiety and depression for several years. I'm in therapy and have a solid support system, but sometimes family drama can really throw me off. My sister has always been a bit controlling and high-strung, but lately it's gotten worse. She's very particular about how things should be done, and if you don't follow her exact wishes, she lashes out or makes passive-aggressive comments. About a year ago, my sister got engaged to her fiancé, and she immediately started planning what she calls the perfect wedding. From the beginning, she made it clear she wanted me to be a bridesmaid. I was honored but also anxious because I knew her expectations would be sky high. I agreed because I didn't want to disappoint her. The problems began almost immediately. She dictated what dresses we would wear, where, and when we had to get our hair and makeup done, and even what gifts we were expected to buy. The cost of everything was astronomical, and I'm not wealthy. I'm currently renting, paying off student loans, and trying to save for a down payment on a house someday. I expressed my concerns about the financial burden, but she dismissed them, saying it was just a one-time thing and that I should make sacrifices for family. As the wedding planning went on, I started noticing how controlling she was not just with me, but with everyone involved. She micromanaged the venue, vendors, and even our conversations. If anyone deviated from her plan, she would get upset and sometimes exclude them from important meetings or events. About 6 months before the wedding, I told her I was struggling with anxiety and that the pressure she was putting on me was making it worse. I asked if we could ease up a bit or find ways to compromise. Instead of understanding, she accused me of being selfish and not supporting her big day. Things escalated when she insisted I attend a pricey spa weekend with the bridal party. I couldn't afford it and told her honestly. She then stopped returning my messages for days and later sent a group text accusing me of ruining the wedding mood. After that, I pulled back. I stopped replying immediately to her texts, and I didn't RSVP for every event. She started posting passive-aggressive stories on social media about people who don't value family and tagged me once or twice. The final straw came when she asked me to host the bridal shower at my apartment. I live in a small one-bedroom, so it wasn't really feasible. I told her it wouldn't be comfortable for the number of guests she wanted and suggested other venues. She told me that I wasn't pulling my weight and wasn't even trying. I offered to help with decorations or favors instead, but she brushed me off. 2 months before the wedding, I made the difficult decision not to attend. I told her I needed to prioritize my mental health and couldn't be part of an event that was causing me so much stress. I apologized and explained that I loved her, but couldn't keep sacrificing my well-being. Her reaction was worse than I expected. She called me selfish, a bad sister, and said I was throwing away our relationship over a stupid wedding. Our parents got involved, and they're disappointed in me, saying I should support family no matter what. Since then, I've had very limited contact with her. She unfriended me on social media and hasn't spoken to me except for a couple of tense text exchanges where she demands I change my mind. I feel guilty sometimes for not being there for her on what she calls the most important day of her life. But at the same time, I think I'm protecting my mental health and boundaries, which is something I've struggled to do in the past. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her controlling behavior and my own mental health struggles? Or should I put my feelings aside and support her no matter what? Thanks for reading. AITA for telling my sister she can't bring her new boyfriend to our parents' funeral? This is going to be a long one, and I'm still processing everything. So please bear with me. My parents passed away within a month of each other, very suddenly, which has been devastating for all of us. My sister, Rachel, and I are the only children. We were very close to our parents, though our relationship with Rachel has always been complicated. She's always been a bit difficult. Our personalities clash, and we rarely see eye to eye. Still, we've always managed to come together for the important things. After our mom died first, then our dad shortly after, the funeral arrangements were overwhelming. I took the lead on organizing most of the details since I live closest and had the most flexible schedule. I was also dealing with a lot emotionally, but wanted to make sure everything went smoothly. Rachel lives in a different state and only flew in a few days before the funeral. When she arrived, she was visibly upset, but also seemed distracted. That's when she introduced us to her new boyfriend, Mark. I say new, because from what I gathered, they had been dating for less than 2 months. Rachel hadn't mentioned him before at all. Now, Rachel has a history of rushing into relationships, and I'm usually the one who ends up dealing with the fallout because she expects me to support her no matter what. I usually try to be there for her, but this time, something about the timing felt off. Mark was charming and polite at first, but as the days went by, his behavior rubbed me the wrong way. He seemed more interested in being seen at the funeral than actually supporting Rachel or the family. He was on his phone a lot, took selfies near the casket, and even made jokes that felt inappropriate given the circumstances. The final straw came during the funeral service. The pastor asked if anyone wanted to share memories or say a few words, and Rachel stood up. Instead of talking about our parents, she started talking about Mark, how he had helped her cope with the loss, and how grateful she was for his support. It felt like the focus shifted entirely away from our parents and onto their relationship. It was awkward and uncomfortable for everyone. After the service, I pulled Rachel aside and told her that I thought it was inappropriate to make the funeral about Mark, especially since the relationship was so new. She snapped back that I was being cold and unsupportive and that I didn't understand how hard it was for her. The biggest conflict happened the next day when I told Rachel I didn't want Mark to come to the memorial dinner we were having at our parents' house. I explained that it was a family-only event meant to honor Mom and Dad, and that Mark's presence felt intrusive given the short time they'd been together. Rachel lost it. She said I was being petty and selfish, and that if I couldn't accept Mark, maybe I wasn't really family anymore. She threatened to leave and not speak to any of us if Mark wasn't allowed. Our parents' friends and some relatives sided with me, saying the memorial was meant for family and close friends who actually knew our parents. But Rachel was furious and refused to back down. In the end, I stuck to my decision and told Rachel that Mark would not be welcome at the dinner. Rachel didn't come, and she hasn't spoken to me since. The rest of the family tried to smooth things over, but Rachel is adamant that I ruined everything. I still feel torn because I want to support my sister in her grief, but I also feel like Mark's presence was disrespectful to the memory of our parents and the family's wishes. I don't know if I was right to exclude him or if I should have handled it differently. So, Reddit, AITA for telling my sister her new boyfriend can't come to our parents' memorial dinner. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she demanded I cut my hair and change my style to look more presentable. I, 28F, have always been pretty expressive with my appearance. I have bright, naturally curly hair that I dye in all sorts of colors, currently a deep blue-purple, and I dress in what many would call alternative or edgy styles. Tattoos, piercings, bold makeup. This is just how I express myself and feel comfortable. I'm a graphic designer and work in a very creative, liberal environment, so my look hasn't been an issue anywhere else. My sister, Claire, 30F, is the opposite. She's very traditional and puts a lot of emphasis on appearances and how things should be. She's always been a little critical of my style, but I thought it was mostly harmless sibling teasing until recently. Claire is getting married next summer, and as the older sister, I've been looking forward to supporting her day and being part of the wedding party. I was even excited about helping her plan because despite our differences, I want her to be happy. A few months ago, Claire sat me down and said she wanted to talk about the wedding and my role in it. She told me that because the wedding is going to be very formal and traditional, she expects all the bridal party and close family to look appropriate for the event. This is where things started to go south. She asked me to cut my hair to a more natural color and style it in a neat and elegant way. No bright colors, no wild curls, no visible tattoos or piercings. She said it would look unprofessional and distracting in photos and that her fiancé's family would judge her for having someone so unconventional at the wedding. She wanted me to wear a dress she picked out, which was very conventional and not at all my style, and basically conformed to her idea of what's acceptable for the wedding. I was taken aback. I told her my hair and style are a big part of who I am, and that changing them just to fit someone else's image felt wrong and unfair. I also reminded her that this is my sister, not a stranger, and that people who love me know me for who I am, not for how I look. She got upset and said that it's just one day and that if I loved her, I would respect her wishes for her wedding. She even said I was being selfish and making it about me when it was her special day. I tried to compromise and said I could try to tone down my look a bit or maybe cover some tattoos with makeup, but changing my hair color was a hard no for me. Claire started to accuse me of being dramatic and unwilling to support her. The conversation ended with her saying I might not be welcome in the wedding party if I didn't comply. After that, I spent a lot of time thinking about it. I didn't want to lose my sister's trust or be excluded from her big day, but I also felt like I was being asked to erase a core part of myself. When I told my parents about the situation, they were split. Mom thinks Claire is overreacting and being controlling, but Dad says it's her wedding and she can have whatever rules she wants. I reached out to some of my close friends who have been through weddings where family members had strict appearance rules, and they all told me to stand my ground and not change for anyone. So I decided to tell Claire that while I would attend the wedding, I wouldn't be changing my hair style because it's who I am, and if that was a problem, she could take that up with me, but not expect me to just disappear. Claire's response was to say that if I wouldn't conform, then I wasn't part of the wedding party anymore, and maybe it was better if I just didn't come at all. She also said that she felt hurt and disappointed that I wouldn't do this one thing for her, and she accused me of trying to embarrass her in front of her friends and family. So, I told her that I'm sorry she feels that way, but I'm not going to change myself to make someone else comfortable, especially when it's at the cost of my identity. I said I'd be happy to celebrate with her afterward if she wanted, but I wouldn't attend the ceremony or photos if it meant hiding who I am. Since then, we haven't spoken much. Some mutual family members have messaged me asking if I could just give in for one day or think about Claire's feelings, but I'm feeling torn. I don't want to burn bridges with my sister or miss her wedding, but I also don't want to betray myself. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to conform to my sister's demands about my appearance for her wedding? Should I just bite the bullet and change my style for one day? Or am I right to stand up for myself here? Hey friends, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she excluded me from the planning and then blamed me for being difficult when I confronted her. I'm 29F and my sister, 32F, is getting married in a couple of months. We used to be close growing up, but over the last few years, our relationship has gotten pretty strained. I want to explain what's happened from the start so you can understand why I feel the way I do, and maybe you can tell me if I'm the asshole here or if my sister is being unfair. About a year ago, my sister got engaged to her boyfriend, and initially, I was really happy for her. I thought we'd have fun planning the wedding together, helping pick out dresses, invitations, and everything. I wasn't a bridesmaid or anything because she said she had a small bridal party already planned, which was fine. But I did expect to be involved in some way as her sister. After the engagement announcement, she started planning everything with her fiancé and her close friends, but I noticed she never mentioned any wedding details to me or invited me to any planning meetings. I brushed it off at first, thinking maybe she wanted it to be a surprise or was just super busy. But then I found out from mutual friends that she had deliberately excluded me from the entire process. She told them she didn't want me to be involved because she thought I would complicate things. I was hurt, but still tried to reach out. I asked her directly if I could help with anything or at least be kept in the loop. She said she was stressed and didn't want extra opinions, which I understood. So I tried to keep my distance, thinking maybe she just needed space. Fast forward a few months, invitations went out, and I got mine. But there was no +1 for me, which was strange because I'm in a serious relationship of 2 years. I brought it up casually, and she said she was trying to keep the guest list small and didn't want drama from my boyfriend. That felt odd and hurtful. My boyfriend has met the family multiple times and is polite and respectful. 2 months before the wedding, I finally confronted her because I was upset about how excluded I felt. I told her it hurt that she pushed me away and didn't want me there as more than just a guest. I said that even if she wanted a small wedding, she could have been honest instead of making me feel like an outsider in my own family. Her response shocked me. She said I was being too sensitive accused me of making this about me, and told me she had every right to choose who she wanted involved. Then she said that if I was going to be difficult, maybe I shouldn't come at all. I told her I was hurt by how she was talking to me and that I didn't want to attend a wedding where I felt unwelcome and disrespected. That led to a huge argument, and since then, she's barely spoken to me. My parents are caught in the middle and want me to make peace and attend, saying it's important for family. My sister also sent me a passive-aggressive message saying that the wedding is not a place for grudges and that I should get over myself if I want to be family. At this point, I'm seriously considering not going to the wedding at all. I feel like if my sister can't respect me enough to include me, or at least treat me kindly, why should I spend time and money on an event where I'm not wanted? On the other hand, I'm afraid I might be overreacting and burning bridges with my family over this. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she excluded me from the planning and then blamed me for being difficult when I confronted her. AITA for telling my sister she can't bring her new boyfriend to our family reunion after what he did last year. This is a long one, but I'll try to keep it as clear as possible. I, 32F, come from a pretty close-knit family, and every year we have a big family reunion where pretty much everyone comes together. Parents, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, and sometimes even distant relatives. It's usually a lot of fun, and we catch up, eat way too much food, and just enjoy being around each other. My sister, Emily, 29F, has always been part of this tradition too. She's been single for a while, but recently started dating someone new, Jake, 30M. The reason I'm posting is because last year, Emily brought her boyfriend at the time to the reunion, and it ended up being a huge mess. This is where the whole issue started, and it's why I told her she can't bring Jake this year. So last year, Emily was dating Mark. I didn't know Mark well because she only started dating him a couple of months before the reunion. Everyone was polite and welcoming at first, but as the day went on, things got awkward. Mark was, to put it mildly, very inappropriate. He made a bunch of offensive jokes that made several family members uncomfortable, including my parents and grandparents. It wasn't just that, though. He also got way too drunk and started arguing loudly with my uncle over politics. The argument got so heated that people had to separate them. It was embarrassing and honestly kind of ruined the vibe of the whole day. The worst part was when he insulted my mom directly, calling her out of touch and old-fashioned, and then tried to make a joke about her cooking. My mom was crushed and barely spoke for the rest of the reunion. After that, a few family members started avoiding Mark, and Emily seemed to get upset because she thought everyone was judging him unfairly. But honestly, he brought it on himself. I told Emily after the reunion that maybe it wasn't the best idea to bring someone new to such an important family event until they knew everyone better and understood the family dynamics. I tried to be gentle but firm. She said I was being unfair and that she shouldn't have to hide her relationship just because her boyfriend wasn't perfect. Fast forward to this year, Emily has been dating Jake for about 6 months now. I don't know much about Jake since she hasn't introduced him to many family members yet. When she asked if she could bring Jake to this year's reunion, I told her I wasn't comfortable with that given what happened last year. I said the family reunion is about everyone being respectful and considerate. And since last year's situation was so bad, I think it's better if she doesn't bring a new boyfriend unless he's been around the family before and knows what kind of environment it is. Emily flipped. She said I was controlling and that I didn't trust her judgment. She argued that Jake is nothing like Mark and that I was punishing her for something she had no control over. She also said it's her life and her relationship, and I have no right to say who she can bring to a family event. I understand where she's coming from, but I'm also responsible for organizing the reunion and making sure everyone feels comfortable. It's not just about Emily's boyfriend. It's about the entire family atmosphere. I suggested that Jake could meet some of us before the reunion or come to a smaller family dinner first, so everyone could get to know him better, but Emily refused. She said if I didn't let him come to the reunion, she might not come at all. This has caused a lot of tension between us. Some family members agree with me, saying last year's situation was unacceptable and that I'm just trying to protect the family. Others think I'm being too harsh on Emily and that everyone deserves a chance to be included. Emily is hurt and feels like I don't trust her to make good choices. I want to be clear that I don't hate Emily's boyfriend or want to exclude her, but I have to think about the family as a whole. I'm stuck between wanting to keep the peace and wanting Emily to feel supported. So, AITA for telling my sister she can't bring her new boyfriend to our family reunion after what happened last year. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of how she treated my kids. So, this is a long one, and I'm really conflicted about the whole situation. I'll try to be as detailed and clear as possible. I, 35F, have 2 kids, a 7-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl. My sister, Emily, 33F, is getting married in a couple of months. I haven't been particularly close with Emily over the past few years because she's changed a lot since she got engaged, and honestly, not in a good way. A bit of backstory. Emily and I were very close growing up, always best friends and allies against our parents' quirks and the usual sibling stuff. When she started dating her fiancé, things started shifting. He's from a very wealthy family and very high society. The kind of people who are obsessed with appearances, status, and keeping up a perfect image. Emily has been totally swept up in that world. I've always been pretty down to earth and not interested in that lifestyle. My husband and I work hard, but live modestly, and I'm very family focused. I always assumed Emily would stay the same, but with her fiancé, she became obsessed with doing things right, from the way she dresses to the way she talks about people, and especially when it comes to her wedding plans. It's been stressful watching her become this different person. Here's the main issue. Emily's fiancé's family doesn't like kids. They think children are disruptive and low class in their fancy events, and Emily has fully adopted that viewpoint. When she invited me and my family to the wedding, she made it very clear that the kids were not welcome. She said it's an adult-only event, very formal, and that kids would ruin the atmosphere. I wasn't thrilled about this, but I tried to be understanding, thinking I'd find childcare and go solo. The problem is Emily has never really treated my kids well. From the moment they were born, she's been dismissive, barely acknowledges them, and has made several snide remarks about how loud and messy kids can be whenever they were around. When my son had a birthday party last year, she barely showed up and spent most of the time on her phone. When my daughter was sick, she didn't even bother asking how she was doing. Recently, I found out that Emily specifically asked the venue not to allow children under 18, and that if I insisted on bringing my kids, we wouldn't be allowed in at all. I confronted her about it, telling her it felt hurtful and exclusionary, especially since we've always had a close relationship, and my kids are an important part of my life. She told me bluntly that this wedding is not a family picnic, and that I should respect her wishes. She also said her fiancé's family made it clear they don't want kids there, and that it's not negotiable. On top of that, I discovered that she's arranged a separate kids event at some kid-friendly venue, but it's invite-only and only for the kids of their friends, not for mine or anyone she doesn't personally approve of. It felt like a slap in the face. I'm really hurt because this isn't just about the wedding. It feels like Emily is rejecting a huge part of my life and the people I love most. I thought family meant more than that. So here's what I did. I told Emily that I'm not going to attend the wedding if my kids can't come, and that if that's a deal breaker for her, then I can't support her big day. I said I'd rather skip the wedding than go and leave my kids behind or feel unwelcome. I also told her I hope she understands that my kids are my priority and that excluding them feels like excluding me. Emily blew up. She called me selfish, dramatic, and accused me of trying to ruin her wedding. She said if I'm not coming, then I'm missing out on one of the most important days of her life, and that she never wanted me there in the first place if I couldn't respect her rules. She also told me that maybe I should reconsider how I raise my kids if I can't handle being separated from them for one night. My parents are divided. My mom says that Emily is within her rights to set rules for her wedding and that I'm being unreasonable. My dad feels bad for me and thinks Emily is being too rigid and unkind. My husband supports me and thinks I did the right thing by standing up for my kids. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I love my sister and want to support her, but I also can't pretend that her wedding is more important than my family's well-being and my kids' inclusion. I'm worried that by not going, I'm damaging our relationship permanently. So, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she won't let my kids come and how she's treated them? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her fiancé's behavior. I, 28F, have always been close to my family, especially my younger sister, 25F. We grew up in a small town, and our family has had its ups and downs, but we stuck together. Recently, my sister got engaged to a guy named Jake, and that's where things started to go sideways. Jake came into the picture about a year ago. At first, I tried to be welcoming. I met him a few times at family dinners and parties, and while I didn't dislike him, something felt off. He seemed charming on the surface, but I noticed he had a way of talking over people, especially my sister. It felt like he didn't really listen or care about her opinions, and instead, he would just push his own agenda. Over time, I watched their relationship more closely. Jake is controlling. I saw my sister start to lose her spark, her independence. She stopped talking about her goals, stopped coming to family events as much, and when she did, she seemed quieter and more withdrawn. When I tried to talk to her about it, she brushed me off, saying Jake was just stressed or busy with work. Then came the wedding planning. My sister asked me to be a bridesmaid, which I initially agreed to because I wanted to support her. But the problems kept escalating. Jake started to get involved in every little detail and demanded the wedding be exactly how he wanted. He also insisted that certain family members shouldn't be invited because he didn't like them or thought they'd cause drama. This included my dad and stepmom, who had been supportive of my sister throughout her life. I confronted my sister about how unfair that was, reminding her that the wedding is supposed to be about her and that excluding family members just because Jake didn't like them felt wrong. She got upset and accused me of trying to sabotage their relationship. Then a few weeks ago, things came to a head. At a bridal shower that I helped organize, Jake showed up unexpectedly, uninvited by me, but apparently invited by my sister. The atmosphere changed instantly. Jake started making rude jokes about my friends and even subtly insulted me in front of everyone. When I called him out privately later, he said I was being overly sensitive and that I should just lighten up. I decided to take a step back and watch what happened next. My sister began to lean more and more into Jake's version of things. When the guest list for the wedding came out, I was shocked to see my entire family cut out except for a few distant relatives and Jake's friends from out of town. I reached out to my sister one last time to express how hurt I was and to ask if this was really what she wanted. She told me I was being selfish and controlling, just like Jake said I was. She said that if I couldn't support her and Jake, then I didn't have to be part of the wedding at all. After that, I told her I wouldn't be attending. I felt like the wedding was no longer about my sister, but about Jake controlling everything, including who she surrounded herself with on what should be one of the happiest days of her life. Our family is divided now. My parents are disappointed, but understand why I'm upset. My sister has blocked me on social media and hasn't talked to me since. A lot of mutual friends are taking sides, and honestly, it's exhausting. I keep wondering if I overstepped or if I was right to stand my ground. Am I the asshole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her fiancé's behavior? Or should I put my feelings aside and support her no matter what? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she disinvited my husband last minute? I, 33F, have always been close with my sister, 35F, or at least I thought so until recently. Growing up, we were inseparable. We shared everything, and even when we drifted a little in college, we found our way back to each other. She got engaged about a year ago, and naturally, I was one of the first people she told. She was ecstatic, and I was genuinely happy for her. When she asked me to be one of her bridesmaids, I was honored and immediately said yes. My husband, Dan, 35M, and I have been married for 5 years. We met in college and have built a pretty solid life together. Dan is funny, caring, and well-liked by almost everyone who meets him. I was excited to introduce him to my family more formally through the wedding and expected him to have a big role alongside me. For the most part, wedding planning was going smoothly. I helped with dress shopping, seating charts, and other small stuff. However, about 2 months ago, my sister told me she needed to talk. She said that she had made some difficult decisions regarding the guest list, and unfortunately, Dan would not be invited to the wedding. At first, I thought she was joking. When she said no, she explained that some past issues between them made it impossible for her to have him there. This hit me like a ton of bricks because I had no idea there was any bad blood between Dan and my sister. I asked her to clarify, but she was vague, mentioning some incidents years ago she didn't want to rehash. I tried to get more information, but she refused to go into detail, only saying it was personal, and she didn't want to involve me in it. I was devastated, but tried to accept it because it was her day after all. I told Dan the news, and while he was disappointed, he supported my decision to attend without him. We agreed I would go solo and just keep things polite. 2 weeks before the wedding, I found out through a mutual friend that the real reason Dan was uninvited was because my sister believed Dan had been disrespectful toward her during a family event several years ago. This event was one I had never heard about, and honestly, I don't remember Dan ever acting that way. I confronted my sister again, asking for specifics so I could at least understand, but she wouldn't budge and said, "It's just how it is." I was angry and hurt. I felt blindsided and excluded. I couldn't wrap my head around being asked to be a bridesmaid, while my husband, my partner of half a decade, was flat out banned. It felt like a personal attack on our relationship. I told my sister that I wouldn't attend the wedding if Dan couldn't come. I said I couldn't support her day if it meant excluding my husband without a valid explanation. She called me selfish and accused me of making her wedding about me and Dan. We ended up in a huge argument where she said I was choosing my husband over family. I stood my ground. I told her I was willing to be there for her, but not if it meant disrespecting my marriage or pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. Since then, she has cut off communication, and my parents are caught in the middle. They think I'm overreacting and say I should just go and be the bigger person. My husband feels betrayed and hurt that my own sister won't even give him a chance to prove himself. I'm torn because I don't want to lose my sister, but I also feel like I need to protect my marriage. My friends say I'm justified in standing up for myself, but others think I'm making too big a deal out of it. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she disinvited my husband? AITA for telling my sister she can't bring her boyfriend to our family Christmas dinner after what happened last year? So, this is a long one, and I really need to get it all out to understand if I'm in the wrong here or not. I'm 32F, and I have a younger sister, 28F. Our family is pretty close, but things get a little tense around the holidays because our extended family gatherings are massive, and sometimes personalities clash. This year, though, the tension isn't just normal holiday stress. It's about whether or not my sister's boyfriend can join us for Christmas dinner. A little background first. Our family has a tradition where every Christmas Eve, we all gather at my parents' house. It's mostly immediate family and a few close cousins, about 20 people total. We eat, open gifts, and usually have a really warm and loving evening. We've done this every year for the last 15 years, and it's basically sacred to all of us. We don't usually invite significant others unless they've been in the picture for a long time or are practically family. It's just been a rule because with so many people already, it's easier to keep it manageable. My sister, however, has had a rough time in the relationship department, so we haven't really met most of her boyfriends before they were long gone. About 6 months ago, she started dating this new guy. Let's call him Mark. He's 30, and from what I know, they met through mutual friends, and it seemed like things were serious this time. I hadn't met him until our family Halloween party a few weeks ago, which is the closest we come to Christmas in terms of family gatherings. Here's where the story really kicks off. Mark showed up at the Halloween party and was, well, let's just say he didn't make a great first impression. For starters, he was late, which honestly wouldn't be a big deal, but he arrived with a backpack, which struck a lot of people as odd for a casual party at our house. Then, when he finally settled in, he started making really inappropriate jokes about some of the family members. My uncle is pretty old school and has a physical disability, and Mark made a few offhand comments that were, frankly, cruel disguised as humor. My aunt, who's very sensitive, was visibly upset, but Mark just laughed it off and didn't apologize. I was kind of shocked because I don't know many people who would be so disrespectful at a family event. My sister, on the other hand, didn't say much. Later, she told me she thought I was overreacting and that Mark was just being his usual sarcastic self. That felt dismissive, but I let it go for the night because I didn't want to cause a scene in front of everyone. Then, things got worse. Mark proceeded to get pretty drunk, and when he was drunk, he started playing this prank where he kept hiding my mom's phone. My mom is in her 60s and uses her phone for everything: communication with the family, photos, even medical appointments. Mark thought it was funny to keep hiding it, and when my mom got upset, he just laughed and said she was being too sensitive. My mom ended up crying in the kitchen, and it really put a dark cloud over the rest of the party. That night, my sister and I had a serious conversation. I told her I was worried about how Mark acted and that if he came to Christmas dinner, there would be more people and more potential for things to go badly. She accused me of trying to control her relationship and said I was being unfair because I only met him once. I tried to explain that it wasn't about controlling her, but about protecting the family atmosphere that's so important to us all, especially at Christmas. Fast forward to last weekend, I spoke privately with my parents about it. They agreed with me and said that if Mark came to Christmas, they would feel uncomfortable and it might ruin the tradition. My sister found out I was talking to them behind her back, which she said felt like a betrayal. Today, I finally told my sister directly that Mark is not invited to Christmas dinner this year, and I explained everything I just told you: his behavior, the impact on our family, and why we think it's best if he sits this one out. She flipped. She said I was being controlling, judgmental, and that if I really cared about her, I would accept her boyfriend and try to get to know him instead of shutting him out. She said she might not come to Christmas at all if Mark isn't invited, and honestly, I don't know what to do. I don't want to lose her or cause a rift in the family, but I also don't want to let someone who disrespects my family ruin our special night. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I'm wondering if I'm the asshole for drawing this line. So, Reddit, am I wrong for telling my sister that her boyfriend can't come to Christmas dinner after how he acted last time? Or should I just suck it up and let him come so that we can all get along? AITA for refusing to let my sister's boyfriend live in my house after she moved out, and now our family is divided over it. This has been a massive source of drama in my family for the past few months, and I honestly don't know if I'm the asshole or if I'm justified. I'll try to explain everything as clearly as possible. I'm 32F, and I've lived in my current house for about 5 years. It's a modest but comfortable place in a mid-sized city. My sister, 29F, and I have had a rocky relationship for years, but I always tried to be supportive of her. She's been through a lot, including a messy breakup a couple of years ago, and I helped her get back on her feet by letting her stay with me for several months while she saved up money and found a new job. About a year ago, my sister started dating someone new. Let's call him Jason. Jason is 31M. When they first started dating, I didn't think much of it. I met him a few times, and while he seemed a bit intense, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. My sister was happy, so I wanted to support her. Fast forward to 6 months ago, my sister suddenly told me she wanted to move out of my house. I was surprised because she hadn't been there that long, and we had a pretty good living arrangement. She said that Jason wanted to live with her, and they wanted to find a place together. She asked if I could help her with a deposit and first month's rent because her savings were tight. I reluctantly agreed and gave her the money. Here's where things get messy. About a month after she moved out, she called me in tears. She said that she and Jason were having serious problems and that she wanted to come back to live with me temporarily while they sorted things out. I said it was fine, but she'd have to contribute to the rent as my budget was tight too. She agreed. She moved back in, but this time Jason also started showing up at the house frequently, sometimes staying overnight, even though he wasn't officially living there. I told my sister that if Jason wanted to live there, he'd have to be on the lease or at least have my permission, but she said it was complicated and that he wasn't ready to commit to renting with her. This went on for a couple of weeks until one day Jason showed up and asked if he could move in for a little while. I told him no. I didn't know him well, and frankly, I wasn't comfortable having him live at my house. My sister was furious with me and accused me of being controlling and selfish. She said Jason was her boyfriend and that he was going to be part of her life, whether I liked it or not. I stood firm. I told my sister that my house, my rules. I was willing to support her, but not to turn my home into a place for her boyfriend without any discussion or agreement. She ended up moving out again and hasn't spoken to me much since. What made this worse is that our parents got involved. They think I'm being unreasonable and that I should just let Jason live here if it makes my sister happy. My mom even said I was driving a wedge between me and my sister, and that family should stick together no matter what. To complicate things, Jason apparently started posting on social media about how toxic I am and how I'm trying to control my sister's life. My sister reposted some of these, and now a lot of our extended family members are taking sides. I'm honestly torn. On one hand, I feel like my sister and her boyfriend are disrespecting my boundaries. This is my house and my space, and I should be able to decide who lives here. On the other hand, I feel like I'm losing my sister over this, and maybe I should have been more flexible. Am I the asshole for refusing to let Jason live in my house? Was I too harsh by making my sister move out again? Or is it okay to set boundaries, even with family? I'm open to hearing different perspectives because right now, I'm just really hurt and confused. AITA for refusing to let my sister's fiancé be a part of my wedding because of his behavior. I, 29F, am currently engaged and planning my wedding, which is set for next summer. My fiancé and I have been together for about 4 years, and we're both really excited to celebrate this chapter of our lives with our family and friends. That being said, the whole process has brought up some unexpected drama, and I'm wondering if I'm in the wrong here. My younger sister, Emily, 25F, got engaged about 6 months ago to a guy named Jake, 27M. Emily and I've always been close, and while I liked Jake well enough initially, I started to notice some red flags once he became more involved with the family. Jake has a bit of a temper, and it's not subtle. For example, during one family dinner, he got into a loud argument with my dad over something minor and stormed out. It was embarrassing for everyone, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. There have been other incidents, too. Jake has made a few passive-aggressive comments towards me, mostly under his breath, but loud enough for me to hear. When Emily and I talk about wedding plans, he sometimes tries to insert himself aggressively, telling me what he thinks I should do or what would be better. It's not just opinions. It feels more controlling and condescending. Emily brushes it off or laughs nervously, saying it's just his way of joking or being protective. Last month, I sat down with Emily to talk about our weddings, since we wanted to avoid scheduling conflicts and make sure family was accommodated for both events. That's when she casually mentioned Jake expected to have a major role at my wedding, even though he wasn't explicitly invited to be in the bridal party or anything. She said Jake felt left out since he wasn't included in the initial discussions and was worried it looked like I didn't respect their relationship. I told her I didn't think it was appropriate for Jake to have a big role because of his behavior around my family and how uncomfortable he makes me feel. I explained that while he's Emily's fiancé and I want to support their relationship, my wedding is my day, and I'm not going to put someone who causes tension in a position of prominence. Emily got upset and said I was being unfair and that Jake had done nothing to deserve being excluded. She also accused me of holding a grudge and being stubborn. Things came to a head last week when Emily showed up at my parents' house for a family gathering with Jake in tow. Jake immediately started making snide remarks about the wedding plans, openly criticizing the catering choices and guest list. I finally told him to stop and that he wasn't welcome to dictate how I run my wedding. Jake got defensive and said he was just trying to help and that if I was so close-minded, maybe he shouldn't bother coming at all. Emily left the room with Jake shortly after, visibly upset. Later that night, she called me furious and accused me of being a control freak who was ruining the relationship between her and Jake. She said I was forcing her to choose between her fiancé and her sister. I told her I wasn't trying to come between them, but I had to protect my own boundaries and make sure my wedding was a positive experience for me and my fiancé. Now, several people in the family have taken sides. Some think I'm justified in protecting my day from someone who's been disruptive. Others say I'm being petty and should just include Jake to keep the peace. Emily hasn't spoken to me much, and I'm worried this is going to permanently damage our relationship. My fiancé supports me, but he's also concerned about how tense things have become. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to give Jake a role or prominent part of my wedding because of how he's treated me and my family. Should I just suck it up for the sake of family harmony? Or am I right to set these boundaries? Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos also. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.